Awesome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Accessibility Basics. My name is Alex Boyle. I use she, her pronouns. I am a petite, white, fair-skinned woman with shoulder-length, wavy auburn hair. I also identify as neurodivergent, and I'm the director of programs at Outreach, and I'm also a certified ADA coordinator. I'm also going to invite my colleague Blue to introduce themselves as well.
Hello, and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Blue Park. I use they, them pronouns, and I am the education manager here at Outreach. I am the one who will be your point of contact throughout the series. And I am an East Asian person in my 20s with like short, almost chin length, dark brown hair. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Blue. Awesome. So just some housekeeping things before I hand it over to our presenters. I said this before, but if you joined us last month for our session on disability justice, or if you were able to watch that recording, welcome back. And then also welcome to all of you who are joining our series for the first time. So some housekeeping notes, just so everyone knows, captions are available for this session and you can turn them on by clicking the CC icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Also, to ensure that our captions are accurate, we ask everyone to remain muted until it is time for discussion or breakout rooms later in the session, or if we call on you to introduce yourself or ask a question. If you're joining the session over the phone, you are able to mute and unmute by pressing *6, and you can raise your hand and lower your hand by pressing *9 on your phone. And just so you know, the session is designed to be interactive. We're going to have a breakout room activity later on. So if you can, take a moment to make sure that your name, your Zoom name appears the way that you would like us to call on you and like other people to see it. Um, and then also when you're talking in breakout rooms or if you're asking a question, as an accessibility practice, please be sure to identify yourself before you start speaking, just so everyone knows who is speaking. And you're welcome to have your camera off or on, whatever is most comfortable for you. And we called this series Accessibility Basics, not because the content is going to be basic, but because each session is going to focus on what we consider to be one of the basic or core foundational aspects of cultural accessibility. Each session is going to be different from the last one. So some of our sessions are going to be presented by disability experts with their own lived experience. Some will focus on case studies from arts organizations that have presented accessible programming. And some, like today, will be presented from the perspective of service providers and human service agencies that are directly working with the disability community. So today we'll be hearing from one of those human service agencies that we work very closely with at Outreach. They're called VisionLink. Um, they are longtime partners of ours. They are the first people that we call whenever we're doing a new program for blind and low vision audiences, and we need people to come to it. They're really, really good at helping us out with that. Um, and we also, for the first time, Outreach, our team went and visited their offices a few weeks ago. And I think I learned more from their team about accessible technology in like just an hour or two than I have in like my very long time working in this field. So very grateful for them as partners. Um, but with that, I'm going to pass it over to our presenters from VisionLink, Melody and Marcia, to introduce themselves.
Thank you very much, Alex and Blue. Very kind words. We enjoyed having you just as much as you enjoyed visiting our office. We are based here at 123 South Broad Street. We're 2 blocks from City Hall, right here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. My name is Melody May. I'm Director of Programs at VisionLink, and I've been with VisionLink for, wow, I just celebrated my second anniversary in this role back in August. So it is a distinct pleasure and honor to serve as Director of Programs at VisionLink. I have been in the vision loss field for over 27 years. I completed a career in Delaware at our state's rehab agency, the Delaware Division for the Visually Impaired. I retired from the state of Delaware in 2023. And that August, I missed it so much. I came back to the field at VisionLink, where I just enjoy continuing my life's work and mission of serving adults with vision loss to live as independently as they wish to. Just a brief description of myself. I use she, her pronouns. I am an African American female. I have short, tapered hair that is, I would like to say, gives me an extra few inches on the top. I am a petite woman at 4 feet 11 inches, and I have brown skin and medium brown skin, and I wear glasses. And today with me, I have my wonderful colleague, one of our assistive technology, one half of the dynamic duo, I should say, because we have two assistive technology instructors at VisionLink, Marcia Dren. Marcia, would you like to provide a brief description of yourself, please?
Sure. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Okay. And can you see me?
I can see you.
Okay.
There may be some participants that don't have their camera on, just to let you know
Okay.
that
Well,
there are a few.
the reason I asked is that for some reason my computer has decided to give me trouble at the moment. So,
I love it. Right
going
on
back.
cue.
Yeah, going back to the me. Hi everybody. My name is Marcia, and I am an access technology instructor at VisionLink. I've worked here for I guess it's going on 7 years now, and I have been teaching technology on and off for over 15 years, more like 20, 25 years. Originally, I started out teaching seniors how to use JAWS and screen readers for the computer. I now primarily teach folks on how to use their iPhone and an iPad with voiceover. I also teach low vision individuals how to use magnification, zoom, and the magnifier. So I identify as an individual. I can't speak. An individual who is deaf blind. I am totally blind with very little usable vision, and I'm very hard of hearing. I wear two hearing aids. I do know ASL, and I am a Braille reader. Um, I'm also currently a student at Salus Drexel University in the Vision Rehabilitation Therapy program. One day, I hope when I grow up, I'll become a vision rehabilitation therapist. And I'm specifically interested in becoming a technology instructional specialist. And ultimately, my goal is to become a professor at Drexel to teach the professionals going out into the field how to teach others on how to use that technology. So I have a few more semesters to go, and then I'll be done with that master's program. So really quickly to give a description about my physical appearance, I am late 40s something, female. My pronouns are she, uh, hers, and her. And I am of Hispanic and Caucasian descent. I have a purple hair. I don't know that you can see that in this in this view, but I am wearing mostly black today because I am in mourning for my husband who passed away around 14 months. So I am very happy to be here today and hope that you all will learn a lot. Thank you, Mel. I'm going to try to solve my technology issues.
Sounds good, Marcia. This is Melody speaking. Thank you so much. So without further ado, we're going to start the show. I'm going to share my screen. All right. So who is VisionLink? So I'll give you a brief description on and not to go too fast, my goodness, on our organization's core beliefs. First and foremost, we believe that thriving means more than simply improving your skills. It also means seizing opportunities to enjoy yourself and all that life has to offer. So, with that being said, I would like to say that individuals can live a full life with vision loss. We talk to many people. We meet many individuals. We meet people who are not just clients, but the public. We meet other professionals such as yourselves. We meet providers, people who provide services to individuals who have visual difficulties. And many people have a difficult time grasping living with vision loss because we live in a world that is full of visual cues and words, and we live in a visual environment. So many people can't imagine how they would proceed if vision loss comes to them. And we are here to first validate their feelings, but also ensure them with proper training, with instruction, the provision of devices, education. It is possible to live a full life, but it's up to them to seize and receive all the opportunities for training that we have to offer. So, just wanted to share one of our core beliefs with you. We are a comprehensive resource and education center. We combine direct services, and those direct services are client centered. So our professionals work with clients to determine what goals they want to achieve. We help Philadelphians, and that's 18 and up. So our services are available to all adults who are 18 and up facing vision loss. And we have changed our language to say vision difficulty because many people don't consider themselves with vision loss. They might feel that I'm having vision difficulty, but at any degree of vision difficulty, we can help them with learning adaptive skills. It can be the provision of a device or a low vision aid. It can be the provision of training, or it can be involvement in one of our virtual programs or in-person support groups. So at any level, we meet people where they are to enhance their skills, their confidence, so that they are able to live as independently as they wish. We are one of the only organizations in the region that seeks to serve all adults at any level of vision loss, including the large number of seniors who are now experiencing age-related vision issues. We see people who are experiencing vision loss from trauma, or it can be a congenital disorder. It can be something that's acquired due to a comorbidity or something that maybe an accident or trauma brings people in our doors. So we see a variety of clients who experience vision loss for a variety of reasons. We are not medical, but we provide education and supportive resources. So many people, when they seek medical intervention for their vision difficulty, sometimes the doctor will tell them, there's nothing more that I can do. And we want the messaging to be, there's nothing more that can be done medically if that is where they are in their treatment. However, there are rehabilitation services that can restore functioning to allow individuals to do tasks such as take their medication independently, meal preparation, housekeeping skills, accessing print material, using technology as a tool to remain independent. So going to the next slide, I want to share with you some statistics that were presented to us in a study that was done several years ago through Vision Serve Alliance. And national data, and this is still very current, even though this study was conducted about 3 years ago. Pretty much the statistics are on point. A year ago, we had a study commission through PHMC. PHMC was just Philadelphia Health. I forget the acronym, but it is a health uh, research organization, and they identify some categories of individuals in Philadelphia who really are more at risk for vision loss or are experiencing vision loss. 7.3% of older adults report blindness and low vision. It's even higher in Philadelphia, 8.2. So we are outpacing the national average with individuals who are experiencing vision loss. 12.5 million people over the age of 40 experience visual impairment. By 2050, now that sounds like way out there in terms of far away, but we are really only 15 years away from that, expected to increase by 100 and, oh gosh, not 15 years, I'm sorry, 25 years. By 2050, expected to increase by 118%. And Pennsylvania is the second largest concentration of seniors. Does anyone know, and you can unmute yourself, anyone, to answer this, who has the highest concentration of seniors in the country? I see someone going for the unmute button. There we go.
Florida.
And Florida, that was a big, all you have to do is watch Golden Girls to know. One of my favorite shows from back in the day. That yes, Florida actually, we are second to Florida in terms of the highest concentration of seniors, believe it or not. Unfortunately, many older adults with visual impairment report poorer overall health and quality of life. Social determinants of health, the outlook is not great because people who are visually impaired may or may not have access to services that will impact their health holistically, especially if they're socially isolated. They have transportation issues, or they have other health concerns that keep them from seeking medical care. They're also at greater risk of living independently and with autonomy. So I was speaking about the acronym that I actually forgot by memory. It is Public Health Management Corporation. Due to their research study, the numbers for Philadelphia, almost 53,351 adults in Philadelphia, 18 and up, have a vision difficulty, or consider themselves being blind or having serious difficulty seeing, even with correction. So, even with wearing glasses or contacts, those individuals still have trouble doing everyday tasks that you and I may take for granted. Um, Getting up in the morning, preparing our meals, looking at pill bottles, which I have to admit is becoming more and more difficult to access small print. All of those things that we take for granted, many people identify as having blindness or serious difficulty seeing. These are just people identified through this study. Can you imagine the number of people who also don't consider themselves as having a vision difficulty or visually impaired? In Philadelphia, again, there's a strong correlation between neighborhood poverty and the prevalence of blindness. So, in areas such as North Philadelphia, Northwest Philadelphia, Southwest Philadelphia, and North Philadelphia are areas that are really experiencing high concentrations of individuals with vision loss. And of course, again, they're more likely to have overlapping health, social, and functional needs as well. So the percentages of clientele that we serve are in line with this study that the Public Health Management Corporation conducted. Almost 60% are women. Roughly 36% are seniors 65 and older. Little over 45% have trouble living independently. So you can imagine, what are some of the things, if people have trouble living independently, that they would be at risk for? And this is a part where I'll take several folks from the audience. If you'd like to just speak out, raise your hand, it's okay. Some people who may not know how to use that function with the computer, you certainly can unmute. I want this to be as interactive as possible. So, if someone with vision loss or vision difficulty lives independently, what are some of the things they can be at risk for if they have trouble living by themselves? Anyone? Marcia, why don't you kick this off so we can break the ice here? Anyone?
We'll break the ice.
Thank you.
We said, and I see some people put some stuff in the chat, but I
Oh,
wondered
great.
if people with vision issues might be at higher risk for like tripping and injuring themselves and nobody being there to take
Absolutely.
care of them.
Thank you very much. That absolutely is true. Fall risk, and there's a program out called Matter of Balance that we were actually trained to provide that evidence-based fall prevention program to individuals who are at risk for falling, because many people who have vision loss have issues with depth perception, or if you haven't received training on orientation and mobility or the use of a white cane, you might not be able to detect objects even in your own environment. If you live in a cluttered environment, you could be more at risk for falls. So that absolutely is an answer. Do we have anyone else? I'm going to look in yes, transportation in the chat is absolutely one of the top uh, difficulties that individuals have who live alone and don't have support systems or have difficulty being autonomous. There are a few networks such as paratransit here in Philadelphia, but sometimes it even presents issues like being on time. Someone put not getting to medical appointments Yes. So let's say if you have a transportation system that may be running behind, get you to the doctor later than that allowed buffer time, guess what happens? You may not be able to see your doctor. So you may not be getting the medical care that you need. So a lot of these effects build upon each other and compound if you don't have uh if you have difficulty living on your own and you don't have a support system. Someone else put in the chat that they read, let's see, Brian read that Maine just passed Florida, really, in terms of, oh goodness, we have a couple of surprise faced emojis.
Yeah.
That is a surprise to me. Wow, Brian.
Yeah. Apparently just the last census. Like it's new. It's been Florida forever, and I think Maine just passed. Mhm.
Wow. What is up with that? I guess some folks like colder weather. Alex, did you put your hand
Yes,
up
I was just
there?
going to say, this is Alex. I was just going to point out, I see we have another hand raised from Olivia. And just a reminder for anyone that's unmuting, if you can just take a moment to introduce yourself before you start speaking, that way everyone knows who's talking.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Alex. This is Olivia. I
Hi,
am
Olivia.
calling from San Diego, so I might be the only person not on the East Coast, but fell in love with Outreach at one of the LEAD conferences a while back. But I'm a Black woman in her 30s with glasses, bright red lipstick, and like a teal Chicago sweatshirt. In terms of independent living difficulty, just thinking about medication, proper like misuse just because of doses or instructions, or perhaps you have two medications that look really similar or the names are similar, and not having that, or even like food preparation, so challenges with utensils or knives or anything like that, and expiration dates.
Oh,
Even with the assistance of my glasses, expiration dates are very hard to capture. So also just your relationship to food and food preparation, whether it's in your fridge or pantry. And those are some of the things I was thinking about when it comes to independent living difficulty.
wow, Olivia, this is Melody speaking. You hit about 4 or 5 very relevant concerns for individuals who have trouble living on their own. Vision loss to some people comes very suddenly. And if you don't know the resource to turn to for assistance, or let's say a resource in your state has a waiting list, then you may be without the proper training that will allow you to tell the difference between one medication or another that's in the same pill bottle, because you haven't learned labeling and organizational skills, or you haven't learned to use technology that has AI built in that can identify or read aloud. And Marcia will talk or speak more to that as we go on. But you're absolutely right. All the important things, nutrition facts. We talked about health disparities. Well, if you have a special diet and you pick up something in the grocery store, you're not really sure if you're on a low sodium diet, you may not know that that TV dinner has the sodium content of a week in it, then maybe you might be more at risk for high blood pressure. So things build upon each other. All of those home management skills that we talk about acquiring, a place like VisionLink can provide that to individuals with vision loss. Yes, people who live or have difficulty living independently are at risk for all of that. So I wanted to really stop and kind of discuss that, especially people who live alone. Now, we're not saying that living alone is a risk factor in and of itself. Many of our clients live alone, but if you live alone without the skills to be independent, that is where the difficulty comes in. Also, over half of individuals with vision loss in Philadelphia are on public assistance, being cash benefits and food stamps. Do we have any questions at this point before I move on to the next slide? Give a couple seconds to see if there are any hands and blue to help me with that. I have a limited view. So seeing that there are none, I'm going to proceed to the next slide. Let's talk about some terms and definitions in the field of low vision. And we're going to start with low vision. What is low vision? This is information that we've obtained in terms of consulting with subject matter experts from one ophthalmologist to another. There may be some small deviances from the actual definition, but for the most part, it is uncorrectable vision loss that interferes with daily activities. It's better defined in terms of function rather than test results. Remember, VisionLink is not medical. So we determine for our purposes vision difficulty that prevents you from functioning or impedes your day-to-day functioning when you go about your activities of daily living. So if you are going to take a shower and you want to wash your hair, if you have difficulty accessing, let's say, telling the difference between a shampoo bottle and a conditioner bottle that may have the same feel, the bottles feel the same, they look the same, that may be something that you're struggling with. Or again, more importantly, taking medication, meal preparation, housekeeping skills, reading your mail, very important. So even with glasses and even with contacts, sometimes even when using a magnifier that you get from the drugstore, something that's not prescribed through a doctor, those are areas where your functioning can be impacted with vision loss. Now, tell you an easy way to tell the difference between a shampoo bottle and a conditioner bottle. If you have a rubber band, wrap it around one bottle. So even with my glasses off in the shower, I cannot read personally the difference between my shampoo and my conditioner bottle. They look the same, but if I feel tactily that there's a rubber band around my shampoo bottle, then when I go to reach for it, I can tell the difference between my shampoo and my conditioner. So sometimes it's a matter of employing some very simple, basic techniques or simple basic strategies for being able to label and organize your things. Legal blindness. Now, visual acuity of 20 over 200 or less in your better seeing eye with the best dimensional correction. So with regular glasses or contact lenses, or if you have a visual field, visual field's the total area an individual can see without moving your head. It should be moving your head from side to side of 20 degrees or less. Some people describe that as having tunnel vision in your better seeing eye. This governmental term, which is the threshold for many, many benefits that you can obtain, it is classified as legal blindness. Sometimes visual impairment is also classified as having moderate visual impairment, severe, and profound visual impairment. Individuals can also experience or see light perception and light projection. And we also have individuals who see no light perception or experience total blindness. So what does all this mean? Blindness is a spectrum. There is no one cookie cutter way to describe an individual who has vision loss or vision difficulty. No two people who have the same condition see the same or experience the same way. You may take two people who have glaucoma and they can see very differently. So, a lot of people, when they think of an individual who has vision loss, people like Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles may come to mind, but it can also be people who don't wear dark sunglasses, who don't use a cane, people who can shuffle their feet when they walk or look down, or people who don't admit that they have vision loss but are indeed experiencing difficulty seeing. For example, on the next slide, these images that you will see in the next few slides have been obtained from the Perkins School for the Blind. And the next few images will have two similar pictures, one on the left, an unaltered image, and I will just describe it for individuals who are using screen readers. There is alt text or alternative text describing what the picture looks like that has been incorporated into this photograph. So on the left, you have a family. They're all wearing white shirts and jeans. There's three people in the image. A woman on the right, male on the left, and they're assisting a child riding a bicycle that has training wheels. So if you imagine that image, in the middle is the child, and she or he, I cannot tell, supported by their parents on that untouched photograph. For someone who, the peripheral or the side vision has been blacked out in this image, and all that appears in the field of vision is the upper half of the child, a portion of. So if you can imagine, if you are looking through a tube, a paper towel tube, uh, everything that you see is concentrated in a small field of vision. Some people report that's how it is having glaucoma. The peripheral vision is impacted that way, as displayed in this image. The next image, we have a cute dog. I think he's cute. It may be a girl. It is a dog with short legs, and the dog's coat is white with black and brown splotches. The dog's tongue is sticking out of its mouth. His ears are perked up. I believe this is a corgi dog, and sitting in the grass. The condition displayed is diabetic retinopathy. And in this image on the right, there are black, oddly shaped areas throughout the picture that have been obscured. So with diabetic retinopathy, there's a lot of damage that is done throughout the field of vision due to elevated sugar levels that have leaked throughout the field of vision and grown scar tissue and abnormal vessels. And that is what is responsible for the blind spots that have formed throughout the field of vision. So this is an example of diabetic retinopathy. Coincidentally, my husband has end-stage diabetic retinopathy, and this is what he describes: blind spots throughout his field of vision. And some days he says it appears as if, even with the blind spots, he's looking, someone has smeared Vaseline on the surface of his eyes, because on top of that, he reports it's very blurry. So that is an image of diabetic retinopathy. Our next image portrays a simulation of macular degeneration. We have a smiling child peeking through netting, appears to be on a playground, has a pink shirt on with Minnie Mouse on her shirt. The image to the right, you cannot see the face of the child because the central part of the picture is blacked out or occluded. Macular degeneration impacts central vision. So individuals may have trouble identifying people, seeing faces, and of course, reading would be very difficult, depending on your degree of vision loss or the degree of macular degeneration. So I'm just share a little more information about VisionLink's programs in terms of our educational programming. You can take a class to learn how to use technology to manage some of those activities of daily living that we discussed. We have a low vision resource center here in our office that is managed by Sophia Zilberberg. She is our manager of low vision services, and she teaches people hands-on how to use alternative ways, non-visually, on how to do all of those activities of daily living that we described. Also, an individual can take advantage of community training and building relationships with others who may be in a support group. We have men's groups, women's groups. We have a speaker series, a resource sharing call, and a vision loss support group. And we also connect people to other resources outside of VisionLink to assist them with daily functioning and living their best life in general. So I want to segue to our assistive technology classes, and I'm going to incorporate Marcia Drenth, who is one of our assistive technology instructors, and have her to explain in just a moment what she does and how it impacts the lives of her clients. But our assistive technology programs aim to increase the participants' digital and technological literacy to help them overcome challenges, expand their ability to learn, communicate, and engage in everyday life in the digital world. So if you think about a device such as a cell phone, many cell phones these days, of course, as you know, have a limited or no buttons on them unless you have a flip phone. So how would someone who has vision loss and difficulty seeing operate a phone without there being any tactile buttons on it? Well, I'll tell you how. Marcia will actually tell you how. With the iPhone classes that we have at VisionLink, designed for students who have minimal or no working knowledge of Apple's iOS environment. And we do choose to focus on Apple phones because we found that they have a robust suite of accessibility features in them. Not saying that Android-based phones don't, they do, but we tend to promote the iPhone here because we have a program where individuals can receive iPhones and iPads for free through our Lighthouse Fund. Also, gestures using screen reading software called VoiceOver. So that will allow participants to access all of the features of a phone. They can text, they can search the web, they can receive email, they can use the phone, they can use apps to enjoy all of the conveniences that we enjoy using a phone every day. So, Marcia, I would like for you at this time to describe your role as a technology trainer here at VisionLink and describe some of the things that you do in your class.
Hi, everybody again. I'm hoping you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, good. I've had so many technology issues. I'm just a little frustrated with my computer at the moment. So, I primarily teach iPhone and iPad, and these are incredibly great tools for those that are blind and visually impaired. And, although I teach iPhone and iPad, I also know that sometimes it's not always the best device for everyone. Depending on, the person's ability, their circumstances, or, their situation in life, there are other options, but the iPhone, like Melanie said, have just such great accessibility, whether you're blind or visually impaired. And so we teach individuals how to use the iPhone with gestures and being able to take take the regular iPhone, just like I'm showing here. This is my iPhone, and just being able to move your finger on the screen, it will tell me what I'm touching and where I need to go. So, for example, if somebody comes to me and on the iPhone, obviously we start off with gestures, and because that's how someone is going to get around the phone. But then I will teach them, including how to take phone calls, how to make phone calls, and in using the iPhone with VoiceOver, we also use the personal assistant Siri, and Miss S is what I'm going to refer to her right now, just so that I don't activate everybody's devices out there. But incorporating Miss S in our tasks. So, for example, I can ask Miss S to remind me or to set an alarm. Of course, this is available to anyone who is not blind or visually impaired as well. So these are not products that are obviously designed for blind and visually impaired. And that's what I really love about the Apple devices, is that they were designed originally for those sighted individuals, those individuals that do not have any disability. And so I teach folks how to use the phone, and then a lot of times teaching them specific apps, like how to use Zoom to make conference calls, FaceTime, the calendar, how to search the internet, how to shop. And then other apps like for communication, email, WhatsApp, different things like that, Facebook, YouTube, how to use apps for obtaining their medical information. But then also the really great thing about the iPhone and the iPad is that there are apps that are available, like Seeing AI, Be My Eyes, and Ira, that really have changed the abilities of those that are blind and visually impaired to access information in my environment. So, for example, if I'm in a office building and I need to find a specific office, I can use an app like Be My Eyes, which integrates now, as we all know, artificial intelligence, and then I can find my office that I need to go to. For example, if I were going to the doctor's, I actually used this scenario with my Meta glasses, which is another technology that is sort of coming out. I'm not going to talk necessarily about that. That is something that we can teach folks how to use. It is a great tool, but there's a lot of things that the iPhone can do. And then real quick, I can also teach individuals how to use the iPad, specifically using the iPad had like a laptop, because of course, we now all have our smartphones, but then, you need another device to sometimes do other tasks on while you're using your phone, or maybe you don't want to take your phone to do something because you're on a call, or you want to keep your phone available to receive a call. And so a lot of folks, a lot of our seniors are finding that the iPad is a great. We recently also did a program at the Community College of Philadelphia where I trained 8 college students on how to use the iPad, and that was a very successful program. Not only did that program provide those students the ability to use technology, but they also had me as an individual who is blind to mentor them. And not only did I teach them technology, but I also passed down how I got things done, how I would do, whatever task that I needed to do for becoming employed, or going out and just interacting with my community. I also passed down resources that they could take advantage of. I have gone through college, of course. I'm in a master's program, and a lot of these young people absolutely want to become employed, but it is definitely not easy. And so these two tools are very important. And again, I mentioned the iPad. Those individuals that are low vision can also utilize the iPad for accessing a printed material, because the iPad and the iPhone also can act as a digital magnifier, and so they can enlarge papers, signs, and other things. And so those are just some ways that we teach. Everybody comes in, we evaluate them to whether or not they need in person or maybe virtual. We do have some virtual classes, and then some of those classes are in person here in our office, and then others are virtual. But some people prefer to be in a class with others, some prefer to one-on-one. It really is going to be dependent on that individual. So I hope that gave a good download of all that we do here at VisionLink.
Thank you very much, Marcia. That was more than a download. That was absolutely fantastic, and I appreciate you. And while you were talking, I was thinking about ways that, and I'm going off script just a bit here for a couple of minutes, but a lot of this technology can be used in an art setting. So if you have someone that's going to a museum, you can use meta glasses to actually ask it, what am I looking at? And it's that AI bot, I guess, that is contained in a lot of technology that's used now for accessing and explaining a scene or a person's face or a picture or a painting. So a lot of those applications don't necessarily have to come from apps or equipment that is specifically designed for individuals with visual impairment, because now people who have visual impairments are using commercial everyday devices that you can retail rather devices and technology that you can purchase off the shelf for a lower price point to be able to access things. And I think it's a beautiful thing, because back in the day when I first started in this career, technology for individuals with visual impairment cost so much more. It was astronomical, thousands and thousands of dollars just to have the same access that people who didn't have visual impairments would enjoy. So being able to grab a pair of meta glasses, and although I don't have $300 in my pocket, I could put it on my Christmas list and record and take pictures hands-free and have that technology describe different things to me as well. When we had Artreach come to our offices, I showed them a tactile map that one of our orientation and mobility instructor created to illustrate the grid system of different streets here in Center City, Philadelphia. And he had built different areas or different bricks, and the way that he had designed the streets versus the areas where there were sidewalks tactily, where you could move the Lego people around. I was thinking that a map system like that tactily would be something perhaps for wayfinding, or something that would be provided for individuals who maybe in a museum setting would present something, or a layout, or of a garden or a sculpture area, or something that people could explore tactily. So thinking of accessibility in different ways is also very helpful too. And you can use everyday items. Sometimes people use Elmer's glue to make labels on items because it creates lines like puffy paint. Puffy paint is something like that crafters use when they make designs on t-shirts. So that's something that I wanted to stress. It doesn't always have to be an expensive item that you purchase when you make something accessible, but it can be an everyday item repurposed in a different way. It is about 4 o'clock. I am going to ask Blue and Alex if we can take a 10-minute break and come back. I'm going to skip over the technology slides because Marcia gave us such a wonderful overview of technology there. We'll come back at about 4:10 and we'll go into our next phase of our presentation. So thank you very much, everybody. Great. All right, so we're going to pick back up, everyone, with best practices, and
Before
then we're
you
going to,
start with that, Mel,
yes,
do you
Marcia.
want me to talk about the meta glasses that I have on?
Yeah, sure. Why don't we
I'm
do
sorry.
that?
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
go right ahead.
So, everyone, we kind of referenced these meta glasses, and so I currently have them on right now. There's several different versions of the meta glasses now that are being kind of put out, but these are the I'm sorry, the Ray-Ban Meta, and someone who is low vision could potentially get, a prescription, or in the case of like these, this has a tinted lens. But, this could be a very good resource for, a facility to put in or have available to read signs and displays or whatever the case may be. Again, it's hands-free. It's very easy to use. And it uses artificial intelligence. And this is one of those products that is obviously not meant for the blind and visually impaired, but by far the blind and visually impaired benefit. And so, for example, if I were to say the magic words, I would get this verbal description. There are speakers in the arms of the glasses, and so that I can hear what it is saying. And so that's what it provides it the ability to be hands-free. And so it's just a really great resource. So again, Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Okay,
And
I'm done.
Marcia, and I also wanted to note that I checked the chat, and a
Yes.
participant named Simon
Yes. Hi,
stated
Simon.
that Simon says, I love that. Simon says, I've seen the glasses read museum signage quite well.
Yes.
So that is real time reading of museum signage. So unlike Be My Eyes, which is calling a sighted assistance to place kind of like a video call and ask, hi, I'm at this museum. Could you read this information? it will read aloud what it sees, whatever it is. So that's something that I could see being very useful in that particular setting. So thank you, Simon, for pointing that out. In terms of best practices, in consideration for being more inclusive and accessible for individuals who are experiencing vision difficulties. So don't be afraid to inquire about the amount of vision that individuals have in the vein of trying to assist them. So a lot of times things that people don't understand, they shy away from asking, what is it that you can see? Do you have trouble seeing faces, or how can I assist you? This information assists with providing accommodations to people. When providing, and this is a whole nother ball of wax, sighted guide is, or human guide as it's referred to currently, is a technique that is used to help people who have vision loss, providing them with assistance in getting from one place to another. And that is another training that's available through VisionLink. But before you offer sighted assistance, you're going to want to ask for consent. Don't automatically think because you see someone who is visually impaired that they might not know where they're going. Maybe they're just resting. Maybe they know where they're going. So ask the person, "Hi, my name is Melody. Do you need assistance?" Do not grab a person. That is a very aggressive action. Do not grab their cane or their mobility device or their service animal's harness. If a person asks for sighted assistance, you approach them and tell them what you are doing. Okay, you'll feel the back of my hand touch your arm and grab my elbow. So that is some very basic communication that you want to express to that person that you are assisting. Never do this to someone with vision loss. I bet you can't guess who this is. It is very demeaning and disrespectful. When you approach someone with vision loss, you're going to want to introduce yourself and others who might be with you. They don't have the benefit of that visual environmental information to know who is there, and that bleeds over into the virtual world too. When you're in meetings or you're in other gatherings, you're going to want to introduce yourself when you walk up to someone and also when you leave that person's presence as well. Speak directly to that person. Talk to the individual, not someone else who may be with them. This is very valid. I've seen this in restaurants before, and even in doctor's offices. A person will talk to a caregiver or a family member or someone who's dining with that person to ask that individual what is it that they want. They may have vision loss, but for the most part, they can hear you and respond. So don't assume that that person, because they have vision loss, that you need to speak more loudly or you need to talk slowly. Talk to the person normally at a normal pace, just as if you were talking to anyone else. Offer to describe how a room is laid out. You may identify entries or exits, which way a door opening towards you on the left, a door opening away from you. Give specific directions. Where is the table? The table is 2 feet in front of you. The table is on the left, the chair is on the right. Don't say go that way or over there, or even worse, point to where something is. When you're guiding someone to some place in a room, Do not leave that individual standing in the middle of a space with nothing to reference or nothing to perhaps support that person, like a table or a chair, or even a wall for them to have a reference of where they are standing. If information isn't accessible, offer to read that information. It is one of the best ways, unless a person has profound hearing loss on top of visual impairment, for being accessible. Don't assume that, especially online, that that person is a screen reader user, because that requires specialized training to enable them to interact with a computer and have text read back to them. Technology can definitely be used as a tool. Also, service animals are working animals. Those service animals aren't to be petted because they are not pets. They're not to be distracted. So treat them with the respect that they deserve when encountering those individuals. I see that there is, before we go into our next activity, another uh, comment in the chat. Olivia Jones wanted to share that Lego has lots of categories, including, and I knew this from my days at the rehab agency, Braille bricks to help introduce visually impaired children and adults to the Braille code. And it looks like it comes in 3 languages. Olivia, thank you very much for stating that. We did have a couple of sets of those Braille bricks, and they are indeed very helpful in terms of teaching Braille. All right, so we're going to move on to our next activity, which I am going to enlist the help of Alex as well as Blue. And this is a visual description exercise and discussion. So the next slide is going to be of a mural. And for a couple of participants, I have provided ahead of time the slide deck that includes alt text of this mural, and it describes it. So your task is to, if you were to describe, if we were at a museum, or this is actually a mural arts mural, if you were to describe it to an individual that has vision loss or vision difficulty, how would you accomplish that task? How would you describe or describe out loud rather the scene that you are seeing to someone who isn't able to see it? By the way, this mural is titled Tribute to Diego Rivera by artists Jane Golden and Dietrich Adonis, 1990, in the Spring Garden neighborhood of Philadelphia. And I will tell you, there is a lot going on in this mural. So, Alex and Blue, I will turn it over to you to divide individuals into small groups. And I believe, let's see, we're at 4:22. Let's say 5 minutes instead of 10 minutes. We'll give people 5 minutes to convene. And if we could have each group designate a person to report out what the group is, let's see. Okay, great. What the group has come up with description wise, that would be fantastic. All right, so
Perfect. This is Alex. I think everyone should be able to join a breakout room from their Zoom screen. If you have any trouble, feel free to send us a chat. But yeah, let us know. And then we'll rejoin in 5 minutes.
Hi, Blue. This is
The definition. I did not hear the definition of a triptych, and So yes, I would probably not necessarily use that word. So, but I do know that you said that. But yeah, I would probably go at it in describing it in a few different ways. Definitely, maybe depending on how the picture is laid out, you could do using the clock method. So, starting at the top and then working your way around like the clock face. You could do it the way you did, starting from the left, going to the right. And then, yes, I think colors are very important. So there's a lot of different ways you could go at it. Obviously, this is a very busy mural, so there's too much to describe. So,
Yes.
yeah, go ahead, Kristen or Simon.
My comment would be, and this is something I mentioned in my group as well. I know what this is, but some folks may not know what foreground and background are in relation to this mural. So you may want to take a step back and think about how would I describe that generally, and then how would I describe that in this situation with the mural. The other thing is you mentioned the colors, and I know we're kind of going through this very quickly. So in an ideal situation, you'd have a little bit of time to say the whole way that you would think about it. But thinking about what are the colors, and then how would you represent those non-visually per se? What kind of reference points would you use for some to explain what those colors are to someone who has never seen color? If they're simple, that they may not need explanations, but if they're a bit more complex, you may want to think through that.
Thank you, Simon. Very insightful. Kristen?
I mean, it sounds like you needed another 5 minutes. So I appreciate that you were working really fast. And I think, I'm just thinking about like what would draw someone into the picture. First, maybe. I almost think maybe start with it might depend on your audience too. Like you could find out some probing questions about like, are they new to this style or new to art? Are they more familiar with it? But I think if they were less familiar, then maybe starting with the foreground and kind of the thing that would grab their attention the most first, and then like working into the more subtle things might be one thing to consider. So.
Very interesting. Now I and gosh, this is the third presentation at Outreach I've attended, and that's a unique perspective. Querying the crowd to find out, what their needs are in terms of description and kind of what their knowledge is, so you could provide something a little bespoke of the audience you're presenting. I love that. All right. Now, next group, number 2. Have any takers?
And if we don't
Let's see.
remember
Who's number
everybody's
2?
group number, maybe just any other group can volunteer.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, this is Blue. Group 2 had Kelly, Laura, Maria. Well, Marcia, you just were going, so I didn't know if that counted as group 2.
Okay. This is Maria from Acting Without Boundaries.
Hi, Maria.
Hi. I was gonna give a little description, but I probably will be echoing a lot of what was already said. So I remembered the term triptych from my college, art history days, but I was just gonna say a 3-paneled mural and describe things from left to right. So on the left was more of a sort of an agricultural setting with women in the front and oh my gosh, I can't remember your name from the Science History Institute. I apologize. You're in my group.
It's Laura
Laura,
Pruitt.
thank you. Laura pointed out as we were kind of rehearsing this in our 60 seconds we had left that it would be important to mention, skin tone as well for the people who populated the murals. So
Yes.
the women in the front of the left-hand panel were brown skinned and looked like they were handing maybe bunches of flowers to one another. And there was a man who was also brown skinned in the background who was holding maybe like sheaves of bamboo. In the center panel, it looked like a table with people gathered around the table to eat, maybe a harvest. Most of them also were brown skinned. And then on the right panel, it was an industrial scene with computers, skyscrapers, men and women working in more technological, industrial fields, and most of them were also black and brown skin. So
Maybe we have used this mural, Mel, but it's because this is now that I'm getting more description about it, being the fact that I did not read the alt text, maybe we have used it, and because Maria did a great job, and it's now coming back to my memory. So anyway, nevertheless, sorry.
We did. It was
Okay,
what we used in the spring.
okay, okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Got a good memory there, Marcia. Do you have
No,
any
that's all.
comment the
That's okay.
detail that was provided? And
Yes.
I would assume that was partly because of the directions and what was occurring in the different scenes. Simon, Kristen, anything additional to add before we move on to group three?
Well, I just love that in this particular description, so I could see that I think there's the moral of the story is there's not one right way to describe it. So like one thing I love about this one is it goes from the natural through to the industrial, so that awareness of time through the panels. But you wouldn't necessarily need to describe in that order. So
It's super cool. That's a first that I've heard. Kind of the progression through time, some type of evolution there. That's awesome. Great. Okay. Group three is Christine, Jen, Kristen, and Sharon. Anyone from that group want to give their description?
Hi. Hello, this is Sharon.
Hello,
I
Sharon.
thought yeah. So this is really interesting. First of all, hello everyone. My name is Sharon. I am from Acting Without Boundaries. I am
Hi,
a vegan
Sharon.
resident wearing a purple flannel and a black undershirt with a little golden cross necklace. If you long hair, but in a claw clip, if that matters, yes. And so I think to echo pretty much what everyone else has already said. Our group kind of broke it down almost a lot more similarly to what Maria did. We described it first as a three-panel up mural separated by white border, and each panel is kind of, within a white border just to give a bit more perspective. And then we mentioned how each panel first takes place outside. In the first left panel, there are three people. There's a woman handing flowers, that is white flowers, over to another woman on the ground with a man in the background, holding sort of like bamboo type thing, with a house and some trees. In the middle portion, in the middle panel, there it almost seems as though there's like a family of some sort around a table. And I don't know if the one that we used is actually the same one that you showed us previously on the slide. We just kind of looked it up and used that. But yeah, there it seems as though there's a family around a table with a woman with a fruit basket on top of her head. In the back of the main person at the center of the table, and there's a man picking some fruit off of a tree in the back, and another man behind the woman with a fruit basket wearing a straw hat. And then on the rightmost panel, there's tons of modern buildings. On the bottom left of that panel, there's a man hammering in a screw. Onto the bottom right, there's a woman sitting at a desk with papers. And in the back, there are two construction workers, it seems like, lifting something up towards the sky, and there are two men behind the woman and in front of the two construction workers with their backs turned, putting flooring, it seems like. And something that I realized that we didn't discuss, I think Maria brought this up, was specifically people's ethnicity, their specific character descriptions, that I realized that I've forgotten that we didn't discuss. But Jen also mentioned that I don't know if Jen, if you want to come in and say your piece.
Hi, I'm Jen from the
Hi,
Museum.
Jen.
From the Museum of the American Revolution. And we also talked about just the where kind of this mural is situated in the neighborhood. We talked about the scale. It's takes up the entire length and width of the outside of the exterior wall, so it's quite big. It's also behind a chain link fence with some trees growing around it, and the trees kind of mirror the foliage that's in the mural. And there are multiple people within the mural who are looking straight at you, so it kind of feels like it's inviting you into the action in the scene.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. In the times that we have used this demonstration, we've actually never had anyone talk about the actual environment that the mural is in, and I love that. You gave me a really great description of the area. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Jen. Whoa.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
I just want to echo that comment about the surrounding area. I think, for those who are going to be doing this as museum docents, curators, whatever capacity you might be in, it's really important. I love it when people can balance the historical knowledge with the descriptive knowledge of whatever you're describing, and the more you can make that flow in the same context and have that balance, I think is really important and really key. And it's really great. I always tell people, you have the historical knowledge most of the time, and so all it is just bridging that historical knowledge with the descriptive knowledge, and whether which comes first or second in that order is kind of up to the situation. But the more you can think about any kind of ways of enhancing the experience in terms of the time period or information about the artist, things like that, I think only serve to really make a full picture of the situation we're talking about. So,
Simon, that is great, great advice. Excellent advice for anyone, not just in the art setting, but just describing a scene or, fantastic, fantastic. Thank you. All right, really quickly. My goodness, only 11 minutes left. Group 4. I'll combine anyone from group 4, 5, or 6 want to weigh in. Anyone else have anything to add for our panel here, Marcia, Simon, and Kristen?
I can go for it. Hi, this is Olivia.
Hey,
Jen.
Olivia.
I'll just read it as is, and I've also been updating as we went, so I've been taking notes, so it's much cleaner than it was after the 3 minutes.
Fantastic.
Right. So we're looking at a mural titled Tribute to Diego Rivera. It is composed of 3 panels, each depicting a distinct scene that contributes to a larger narrative honoring Diego Rivera. The mural is best known for celebrating Mexican farmers and laborers. The mural is painted in acrylic in the style of social realism, which emphasizes realistic portrayal and clear, recognizable subjects. I'll describe it from left to right. In the first panel, 3 figures stand in a natural setting, possibly a field, all with medium brown skin, presumed to be of Mexican descent. A woman faces the viewer, receiving white flowers from a person kneeling with their back turned. In the background, a partially hidden man carries bamboo, adding depth to the scene. Second panel, a table filled with 8 diverse people gathered in a communal setting. The group includes children, adults, and seniors, reflecting a range of skin tones from beige to black and brown. At the head of the table sits a Mexican man in a white collared button-down shirt, fastened to the top. In contrast, behind him stands a Mexican woman dressed in bright red with yellow trim, balancing a basket of fruit on her head. Behind her, partially hidden figures enjoy fruit, adding a sense of abundance, warmth, and connection. We did not make it to panel 3.
Wow. That's fantastic. I love the context that you provided initially, and just the degree of description, but I'm going to let the experts weigh in. Marcia, Simon, Kristen, what do you think about Olivia's description?
I think that was fantastic.
Yeah, excellent. Very, very good.
Yeah, that was really beautiful. It's funny because you know, it's written, so I'm just sort of imagining like if it was written versus when it's spoken. So that would be the only thing I would say, like think about if you're, you know, giving this to somebody standing there, then that might be a little bit overwhelming. But if you're like, you know, if it's written, that's a really great written description. And if it's spoken, it can just be adapted. So
Great ad. Great ad. Let's see. Beth suggested we contextualize the artist and style and enhanced it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I can, for our group, Beth suggested that in addition to the description of what we were saying, to contextualize the artist and why it was important, and the subjects are who they are, so that it sets the scene, quote unquote, in a different way. So I'll bet.
And then Beth added, thank you, Olivia. Beth added, it helps to shorthand some aspects that apply to all as well. All great, great points, everyone. Does anyone else, before we wrap up and ask, before I ask if anyone has questions, want to weigh in on this activity? This was a lot of fun. I got more out of this than any other time. Let's see. Oh, Beth added, full disclosure, I went through audio description training. Well, Beth, I tell you, it shows. It really
yes.
does.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
It really shows. Last call. Anyone want to weigh in? Let's see. Brian stated, I enjoyed this activity. That mural was a good challenge. I think next time have something a little simpler. Goodness gracious. This was a lot. Aaron Dempsey wanted to know, do you have any resources on audio description best practices that you could share? I personally do not. However, we have experts who are participating in this call that I think, Simon, I believe, is this your profession, audio description?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, it depends on what you're looking to do. I think if you're looking to learn about it, I would definitely say you can go to an audio described event and just get a feel for what it is and how it's done. Something very simple that I tell people is a lot of streaming services now have audio description, like Netflix and Amazon, and regular TV has it. So you can get a feel for what it is that they do and how it's done and whatnot. I don't know of any current trainings right now. I know that there's a really strong need for training, but for individuals right now. But it depends on, again, what you're looking to do, and maybe we can connect and uh, get some more information out to you.
And Simon, if you could put your information, if you don't mind, in the chat, there have been some resources that have been added to the chat. Alex Boyle, hello, Alex. She recommended checking out the Audio Description Learning Network. And there
Yes.
is a link contained to that resource.
Yes, I'm involved with them too. Yeah.
Great, great, great. Let's see, ACB, and I believe is that the American Council for the Blind has online training for audio describers. Maria stated that. And there's a link that also that she added, https colon backslash backslash adp.acb.org. That also is, excuse me, listed in the chat. Olivia stated, thank you so much, Kristen, for uplifting the difference between a verbal and written description and finding the balance between detail and overwhelm. A great tip. So I guess there's such a thing of having too much description that can just provide overload.
Yeah, well, and I also
So
wonder if like I'm not really a frequent mural museum goer, but I was just thinking like I think sometimes, maybe like those symbolic ideas are really great to communicate like the feeling of community or the feeling of this or whatever it is. And then other times maybe people want to come to that determination themselves, and maybe just kind of stick to the details, which is kind of tricky to figure out. So I'm not saying I know all the answers, but
Yeah. I have a
that's a
question
great ad.
for folks very quickly. I know we have just a few minutes left, but I did want to ask a question, an overarching question of what did people learn and what are your takeaways from today's presentation? Anything that people would want to amplify that really stuck out to them? If maybe
Oh,
if you folks could share.
Simon, I'll be calling on you for my next presentation. You're a great co-presenter. That's a great question. Yes, yes, please go for it. What'd you learn? What's your takeaway?
This is Alex. I'll add a takeaway. Something that you shared, Melody, at the very beginning, when you were giving us some statistics, that I was surprised to learn was how much we're anticipating the population of older adults with vision loss to increase. I think I read
Yes.
you said expected to increase by 118% in our area by 2050. And so I feel like for people that work in cultural spaces, and a lot of us have audiences that are on already older adults or on their way towards
Yes.
becoming older adults. I feel like knowing that is really great for organizations to know that, okay, even if you don't have a big audience of people that would benefit from those types of programs right now, it's sounding like you're going to very soon as we get, in the future and more people are, that population is growing too.
Such a great point as you prepare for meeting the needs of future patrons. So that's a great point. Great point. Anyone else? Got 1 minute left.
Hi, this is Brian.
Hi, Brian.
I meant to ask a question earlier, honestly, and I'm just harkening back to the Meta glasses, and I seeing the functionality described here. If we've heard or any advice encountering them being prohibited or restricted, because I've seen articles and stories about privacy concerns that those could be used to record audio and video, and some places may prohibit them or restrict them without being aware of the accessibility use that they provide. But this was the first I'd really considered that.
That's an excellent point. My other accessibility AT trainer, he was in a situation where he was asked, and I forget the venue he was at. He was questioned about wearing them, and he explained to wherever he was. Andrew's not here, but he explained that he was blind, and this allowed him to fully participate in the activity that he was doing. And he was allowed to, I need to ask him where he was. After 3 o'clock, all the brain cells evaporate. So I can't remember. But that is a valid point because a lot of people are questioning, whether or not this is something that is not legal, but allowed in certain settings. So, Brian, you bring up a very good point. Sometimes technology, we're rah-rah technology, but in certain settings, will that be allowed? And I think if we explain or we advocate that this is a tool for accessibility, perhaps that will give some insight to individuals. I don't know, but that brings up a compelling point. Absolutely. Thank you for adding that. We are right at 5:02. My goodness, I didn't get past the mural on the slide deck, but I wanted to thank you everyone who is still here. I want to include my number and my email in the chat. It is Melody, and that's spelled MELODYE at VisionLink, PHL for Philadelphia.org. I can't type and talk at the same time. I'm one of those people. So
you can type, Melody. I was going to talk while you're doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Melody and Marcia. This was such an incredibly helpful training. We have so many comments in the chat that are saying the exact same thing.
Thank you so much.
We'll be sure to share out the recording as well as the actual PowerPoint presentation so that folks can see any of the slides that we didn't have time for. And we'll share out your contact information in case any additional questions come up as well. And for everyone that joined today, thank you so much. We were so happy to have you. We will be having our next session on next month, November 11th, which is another Tuesday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. This session will be focused on physical accessibility, presented by Katie Sampson, who many of you probably know because she used to be our Director of Education here at Outreach and is now the Director of Education for CHACS Training and Consulting. So we're very excited to be welcoming Katie back. But thank you all. I hope you all have a wonderful evening or afternoon if you're on the other side of the country, maybe. And we will see you next month. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thank you so
evening.
much.